I never imagined that a single text could turn my whole life upside down. My name is Ethan Caldwell. I'm 38, and I thought my marriage with Marissa was solid. We'd been together for 12 years, married for 9, and I had always believed that trust and loyalty were the backbone of our relationship. I worked hard, long hours at a construction company, managing my team, ensuring we had a stable life. I was the kind of man who provided, protected, and stayed calm when things got tough. I thought she appreciated that. At least, I thought she did. That morning started like any other Thursday. I got up early, brewed my coffee, and went over my schedule. Marissa left for work as usual, kissing me lightly on the cheek. Nothing seemed out of place. I was texting a few colleagues about a new project when my phone buzzed. The message notification flashed her name. I felt a mild curiosity. Then I read it. Going away with my boss. Be back tonight. The words hit me like a sudden, freezing wave. I read them twice, thinking maybe I had misinterpreted. Maybe she meant a work event or a business lunch. But there was no context, no clarification, no hint that this was something casual or professional. Just those 6 words, precise and final. My heart sank, but my mind immediately tried to rationalize. Maybe she had to meet him for work. Maybe it was a last-minute project. Then came the next text, barely 10 minutes later. Don't wait up. I'll explain later. A calm dread settled over me. I didn't panic. I didn't text back. I didn't call. I simply stared at my phone, letting the reality of the situation sink in. I could feel a quiet, simmering anger, but more than anything, there was clarity. Something had shifted, something that I had refused to see for months, or maybe years. The subtle distance, the way she no longer smiled at my jokes, the dinners she skipped, the excuses she made to avoid being home. Everything started lining up like pieces of a puzzle I had been too loyal to complete. I thought about the past week, the little signs I had brushed aside, the moments when she seemed distracted or disinterested. I remembered last Friday, when I tried to plan a dinner for our anniversary. I had spent hours arranging reservations, making sure everything would feel special. She had barely looked up from her phone, telling me she was too busy with emails to enjoy it. I had swallowed my disappointment, telling myself it was just stress. But stress doesn't send texts like this, does it? I got dressed and walked out of our bedroom, careful not to show panic or anger. My movements were deliberate, measured. I grabbed my wallet, my keys, and a small bag with essentials, though I knew I wasn't running away. I was merely stepping into a moment of clarity. I wasn't making a scene. I wasn't raising my voice. I was acting from a place of control, the kind of calm people rarely see in moments like these. As I left the house, I felt the familiar weight of responsibility, bills, mortgage, work obligations. Normally, I would have worried about her, tried to fix things, tried to plead. Not today. Today, I allowed myself the rare luxury of detachment. The car started smoothly, and I drove without a destination, letting the streets guide me. My thoughts wandered, reflecting on the years I had invested, the loyalty I had given, the emotional energy I had spent. And then the truth hit me squarely. She had stopped giving, and no amount of patience, care, or attention could reverse that. I called my friend Gideon Harper, someone who had seen my life through all its ups and downs. He picked up after the second ring. "Ethan, you sound calm." "Weirdly calm," he said. I told him the situation simply, leaving out emotion, leaving out any plea or confusion. He didn't react with panic. He didn't offer advice. He listened, and I realized that was all I needed. Listening, acknowledgement, validation from someone who understood. I spent the next hour walking through the quiet streets near the river. My mind replayed her text over and over, contrasting it with all the times I had shown care. I remembered the nights I stayed up late helping her with work presentations, the mornings I made breakfast even when I was exhausted, the weekends I gave up to repair the car or handle errands she never touched. I realized then, this wasn't about work or miscommunication. This was betrayal. Cold, intentional, and unmistakable. By noon, I made a decision. Not a vengeful one. Not impulsive. But a decision that would reclaim my dignity. I returned home, entered quietly, and checked the house. She wasn't there yet. I opened her closet, saw her carefully packed bag, and realized that her departure was deliberate. Not just a spontaneous trip. A choice. I felt a strange mixture of disappointment and relief. Disappointment that she had betrayed the trust one had given so freely, and relief that I no longer had to pretend that everything was fine. I sat down at the kitchen table, poured myself a glass of water, and thought about the next steps. I called my lawyer, Samuel Knight, not to start a fight, not to escalate, but to understand my options. I wanted clarity, structure, and legal grounding. He advised me calmly, walking me through asset protection, temporary arrangements, and boundaries. His words were precise, detached, and professional. Exactly what I needed. By mid-afternoon, I received a text from her boss, a man named Derek Holloway, claiming she had left work early for a team event. I didn't reply. I didn't engage. I let the silence be my response. I realized that silence could convey more power than any argument or confrontation. Silence, in this case, was control, dignity, and self-respect. That evening, I drove to my friend Gideon's house and slept there, not out of fear, but because it was the first time in years I felt unburdened. My home, once filled with a subtle tension, now existed in a state of temporary peace. The absence of her presence didn't feel empty. It felt like a reset, a chance to breathe without compromise, without pretense, without the constant undercurrent of betrayal. The following days were challenging, but not chaotic. I established boundaries, paid attention to my responsibilities, and maintained composure. Every call, every interaction, every decision was measured. I discovered that calm clarity could replace anger, that dignity could replace panic, and that self-respect was far more valuable than approval from someone who had chosen betrayal over loyalty. By the end of the week, Marissa returned briefly, expecting perhaps confusion, panic, or guilt from me. I offered none. I simply acknowledged her presence with a neutral nod, reserved my space, and let the truth of her choice speak for itself. I realized then, finally, that I didn't need justification from her. I didn't need an apology. I needed clarity, and I had it. It's strange how a single text, delivered in seconds, can collapse years of familiarity, comfort, and routine. Yet, paradoxically, that same moment can create the sharpest clarity a man will ever know. I learned that loyalty has limits, patience has limits, and dignity is invaluable. I also learned that betrayal doesn't have to incite chaos. It can simply reveal what was already hidden.